Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Brand, a podcast where we take a look behind the brands and businesses that we love, the people behind the brands, the story behind the brand. We believe behind every good business and behind every great brand is a great story and a great person. And today's guest is no exception to that, and that is Mike Doherty from Junk Luggers. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you, man. So we met through the Networking Now group over in Fenton,
Right.
and we got to know each other a little bit. We've gone to several of the same chamber events and Grand Blanc Chamber and different things. And you're all around doing stuff, doing business all over the place. So before we get into Junk Luggers and what you guys do, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Married to Sandy, been married for 29 years in May.
Congratulations.
I think we're going to make 29. It's looking good right now.
Yeah, you're close.
Got about a month to go.
What day in May?
The 10th.
Okay.
So
it's getting very close.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Got a couple kids. Eric is 25, works with me in the business, and Lauren is 23. And she's a financial advisor. She's graduated from Michigan State last spring with a finance degree. So
very cool. Is she advising you on your finances now?
Not yet.
No, that's good. They will, Yeah. Kids get to a point where it starts to dawn on them that they might be a little smarter than their parents. And in most cases, they probably are. But when they start to realize it, they start to let you know about it a little bit. So, so where did you grow up? Are you from around this area, mid-Michigan, or?
Kind of, but east. So I grew up in a small community called Brown City out southern Thumb area.
Okay.
So it's a small kind of farming community, at least it was back then. About 1,000 people.
1,000 people?
Yeah.
Wow.
At least in the 80s. Yeah.
Is it about the same now?
I don't know. It's probably going a little bit, but
yeah. Did you grow up working on the farm, or?
So I grew up in farm. We lived out in the country. I grew up in farm country. We didn't live on a farm per se, but I had lots of opportunities to work on the farm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did. Before I could drive, I was doing odd jobs, baling hay and stuff like that.
I think every young man should have to bale hay. I made all my boys do it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a great, for a young man to get out there in the hot sun and scraping up their forearms and lifting it. It's a good day's work.
Yeah. And it teaches you that you might want to do something different later on.
Yeah.
And then, so then, in high school, I actually milked cows for a few years in high school before and after school, and except for in the fall when I played football. But so that was, again, good experience. And
I think any kind of farm work will teach you good work ethic, will teach you what hard work is like, will teach you how to work with your muscles, not always sometimes having to work with your mind too, but particularly exercising those muscles that give you that good, strong work ethic.
Today's episode is brought to you by AZ Branding Agency, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. If your business is great but nobody knows it, you don't have a marketing problem, you've got a branding problem. At AZ, we help you stand out with bold branding by creating websites, social media, video, and photography that actually gets noticed. Because attention is the #1 currency in business, and your brand deserves more of it. Learn more at azeebranding.com, and let's get your brand the attention it deserves.
So let's talk a little bit about your business, okay?
Yeah.
So tell our audience, what is Junk Luggers? I mean, the name seems pretty obvious, but talk about the business and what you guys do.
Yeah, so it's kind of two businesses in one. One being the Junk Luggers, and the other is what we call Remix Market. I'll kind of walk you through it. But so the Junk Luggers is an eco-friendly furniture and junk removal service. So people hire us to get rid of items they no longer want.
Yeah.
And it's that old story, one man's junk's another man's treasure.
Right.
And we believe that not everything has to go to the landfill, so we try to save whatever we can from the landfill. I've got landfill diversion. And we do that by donating whatever we can, by recycling whatever we can, and by rehoming whatever we can.
Okay.
And the rehoming piece is basically, we donate to families that need things, different charities around. Knights of Columbus and Grand Blanc take a lot of things. They service, I think it's women's shelters where most of their items go to. But then we have this Remix Market, the second part of the business, that is essentially a thrift store. And so we call it gently used secondhand treasures. And people can come to it and if they find something interesting, they can buy it. Sometimes, younger people might come in and furnish their homes or apartments from it and things like that. Anything we sell out of that, we make a cash contribution to our charity partner, which is Dream Centers of Michigan, located in Pontiac.
Okay.
So it's a great way to, the Junk Luggers in general it's a great business with a good mission. So does good in the community, gives back, and it's just fun,
So you're not technically pickers, but it's kind of like picking. As you pick up someone's stuff, you're picking through it to see what stuff is, goes to the recycling,
Yeah.
goes to the landfill, and
Yep.
then maybe some treasures that you might use to put in the secondhand store.
Yep.
What's the coolest thing you've ever found that you're like, oh, we gotta put this in the store or donate this to someone?
Yeah. Let me think. So one of the things that always sticks in my mind is we found this cash register probably from the late 1800s. It's big mechanical keys. It was all, I think it was brass.
Probably weighed a ton.
Ton and a half. It
Yeah.
was a tank. So that was a really cool find. And we've had a few antiques, and
Yeah,
it comes and goes. You just never know what you're going to run into.
you never know. Yeah. So what made you? So what did you do before Junk Luggers?
Yeah, so I was 25 years in the automotive industry. I worked for a smaller tier one in Saginaw. Um, and I did about half my career in engineering and then the other half doing business development and marketing and strategy. And yeah, it was in a nutshell, that's what it was.
Okay, good. And so, what made you decide to get out of that? You worked in it for 25 years,
Yeah.
you said, right? So you're working in the grind every day, working for the man, right?
Yep.
Kind of the 9 to 5, but probably goes longer than that. And the nice thing about working a job is you come home at night and you kind of just leave your work where it was, and you come back to it the next day. What made you decide to leave that and go into starting your own company?
Well, they asked me to leave it to start with.
Okay, well that helps. It's
We
a
were-
little motivator.
Yeah, we combined with a sister company, and there just wasn't a place on the team for me. So out I went, and I was 50, and I always wanted to run my own business. That was always kind of the goal.
Yeah.
And so I was about 2 hours out of a job. I looked at my wife and said, "Well, I'm done with the corporate thing. Let's get after this entrepreneurial thing." And so we started looking for opportunities and looked at probably about a dozen different concepts, anywhere from financial planning to different franchise businesses to went on and on. A couple of automotive opportunities popped up, ended up passing on those. But at the end of the day, after about 4 months of kind of looking everything over, we landed on Junk Luggers, and haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. So at 50 years old, you
Yep.
started a company.
Yep.
I think that's great. A lot of times, if you're watching and you're like, man, I want to start a business, but I'm too late. I should have started young. I'm too old. Man, I'm 45 and I feel like I'm just getting started. But I remember at 35 when I started this business thinking, man, do I want to start all over again? I built a really good career in hospitality and starting from scratch. I mean, you start a business, you're really starting over,
Yeah.
And I mean, you go from being an employee to the CEO. So it seems like a promotion, but financially, you're starting over. From a security standpoint, you're starting over. It's always a big risk. There's no such thing as a guaranteed foolproof business. You got to work it, you got to make it happen. And you can find concepts that are maybe a little bit easier and some that are harder, but I just think like if you have an idea and you believe in yourself and you believe that you can do it, like I think doesn't matter your age, like go for it. I mean, you read stories like who's the guy I read about the other day? Was it the Colonel from KFC? Didn't start till he was like in his 60s.
Yeah.
And the story after Walt Disney started late, Steve Jobs started late. I mean, so you hear a lot of these people that just get started later in life and they still make it. So I think that's awesome. So if somebody, I guess I want to dig a little bit deeper into like the business itself, right? So I understand the concept. How do you get contacted? Are you looking for places that need stuff removed and approaching them? Are people reaching out to you? Is it all of the above? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's all the above. We do a lot with marketing, paid digital Google and LSA, and we haven't done it yet, but we're talking about tiptoeing into some meta ads and things like that.
Mhm.
We've done print in the past. We are doing some kind of focused postcard campaigns. Do a lot of business development, so some of the networking groups that you talked about earlier,
Yeah.
and others. I think I'm in 3 chambers right now, 3 or 4, and I've been in probably a little over 4 years of doing this. Probably been in 4 or 5 different networking groups and
Okay.
getting to know people and building relationships and building that brand. And we're just October was our 4th anniversary, so we're at a point now where people, the first year is like, what's a junk lugger? So I think I started step one.
A little bit of education.
Yep. And then 2-3 years into it, people understand what the business is, what we do, and there's some trust built. And I feel like now it's really coming to us. So the referrals, repeat business is really going up a lot in the last year and a half or so. So
very cool. Very cool. So let's kind of dive into now life as an entrepreneur. How long have you been doing it?
Since I started operating in October of 21. So 4.5 years almost.
Okay. So you're almost to the 5-year mark. They say the first year is always the most difficult. If you can get past 2, you have a real good chance. If you get to 5, so the statistics I read is like 80% of businesses fail within the first 2 years, right? So if you can get past the first 2 years, you now are in the top 20%. And then another like 15 fail in the first 5 years. So if you can get past 5 years, you're in the top 5%. And there are still businesses that fail after 10 years, 20 years. I mean, there's all kinds of, but like statistically, if you can continue to push through those tough times and continue to, it gets easier, and it starts to build like a little bit of a snowball. People start to know who you are. And we're at this 11 years, and I'll still say every day is a challenge. Every day is learning. Every day is figuring out, is this what I still want to do? Is this going to make it? Is this going to get me to my long-term goals? But I'm convinced the people that make it are the ones that just don't quit. The ones that just stick with it, right? Because there are always going to be logical reasons to call it a day. Like, I gave it a shot. I'm just going to go back, get a job, more financial security, more predictability, less financial stress. But I think from my experience, seeing people who have worked for themselves, going back to working for someone else is a very difficult transition.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. So I just think like, to entrepreneurs listening, you got to stick it out. You got to stick it out. Reach out to people for help. Make connections with other people who are in it. Get advice. Get your money right. That's the biggest thing, is handling your money right. A lot of businesses go wrong because they make the wrong financial decisions. But yeah, that's awesome. So you've been at it now for 4.5, almost 5 years. So you dated yourself because you told us you were 50 when you started. So now we know how old you are.
Yep. No secrets, Tony.
Yeah,
it's all out there.
You said you looked at a lot of different concepts. Yep. What was it that made you decide to land on this one?
Yeah, great question. When you look at business, at least from my experience, was I'd get really excited about different things. They'd be, that's a really cool idea. I'd learn about it, study the finance, and kind of didn't have any brand differentiation in the market and that kind of thing. Trying to get a read on what I thought the business was, and as you go through it, you kind of get a peak energy about, that's a really cool idea, then set that one aside, go to the next one. And so I'm not sure we did this with all 12, but with most of them that kind of rose to the top, maybe the top 6, I don't know. We kind of do that process, and all but Junk Luggers lost energy over time. I just lost my drive for it. It just became less interesting.
Yeah.
And Junk Luggers just stayed there. And so we finally, I think my wife and I were talking in, I don't know, earlier mid-April, and said, "This is the one. Let's go." And
yeah.
So
we went. Well, and I think that's so important. I mean, the message there, I think, is it's, if you're gonna start a business, find something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
If it's something you have passion about, that's a big help. But if you can do something you love every day, you've kind of won the game, right? Yeah. And I read a statistic early on in my life, and who knows if it was accurate, but it said 94% of Americans hate their job. And I'm like, whew. And my father worked in a factory for 45 years and was faithful, hardworking man, never missed a day unless he absolutely couldn't go, got promoted all the way up to foreman. But I know he hated that job, but he did it every day and took care of us. And I thought, man, I don't want to hate my job every day. And so I think if you can get up every day and go do something you enjoy, that's half the battle right there, regardless of the finances. So we talk a lot on the podcast about success. And I'm a big believer that success has to be determined individually. What success is to me might not be success to you. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs go wrong because they never define what success is to them. And so they're always chasing something that's invisible. They never realize they've achieved success, or that they haven't, because they've never defined it. And so maybe they're looking at a financial goal or profitability or But really, the whole reason they started was to have more time or to have more flexibility or whatever. So, you know, when you think about success for Mike Doherty and for your family, what do you think are some of the keys to achieving success in a business?
Yeah, I mean, part of it you mentioned is that perseverance that you can't give up because there's good days, there's a lot of bad days, there's challenges that come that you're just not prepared for, and you got to work through it. And um, there's like I said, the good things that come tend to be a little bit more than the bad things that come,
Yeah.
but you have to wrestle with it all and move forward. So perseverance is huge. Having that long-term mindset, that kind of where am I trying to get to? What am I trying to achieve? Like you said again, is paramount, right? You gotta, otherwise you just kind of get lost in the day-to-day churn and you lose your direction. And
Absolutely.
even with a long-term mindset, you still get lost in the day-to-day and lose your direction from time to time. You got to
100%.
step back and refresh and refocus.
Yeah.
So those are big ones. You know, I like people, I like developing people. So when I have, young guys or gals that really want to embrace the business concept and really want to grow with it and do things, it's really rewarding. And just, there's you people, you grow up, you go through high school or whatever, and what do you want to do with your life? I don't know. I'm not sure. Some people know, but
Yeah.
a lot of people don't. And I'm 55. I'm still figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that maybe don't get opportunities and so on and so forth. And I'd like the chance of with people that really have the drive, have the heart, have the they don't like to do it, is to bring them along and develop them to
Yeah.
the best they can be.
Yeah.
So I find pleasure in that as well.
Well, to me, I mean, that's fantastic. And to me, I think, happiness is underrated.
Yeah.
And so many people get up every day and are miserable to go do what they have to do. And it's a task and it's a chore and it's begrudging and it's just work. And there's nothing wrong with just getting up every day and going to do work.
Right.
We got to do that. We got to provide. But to me, success is happiness. And so if I can get up every day and be happy, now, even in a business that you love, there are days where it's like, oh, I'm not looking forward to that one, or I got to go do that today. But if the majority of your time is like, I'm happy to go do what I have to do today, that's success to me. And so if I find a business that has provided a way for me to live life with happiness, well, that's winning.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much money I make or don't make. But again, that's me.
Right.
And it's so important that you, as an individual entrepreneur, define that success for you. Because then on those hard days when you want to quit, you can measure, oh, I've had some success. I'm going to keep going. This is big. We're doing the right thing. The money will come. I'm just going to stick with it. And so I think those things are so important. As business owners, we often, it's all just trial and error, right? Now, you're with a franchise, so there are some proven systems and methods that work, which really help. But still, when it comes to marketing your business or branding or putting yourself out there, we're just trying things, right? We're trying things that maybe we saw someone else do or that we read about or that we thought of while we're sitting on the toilet. Like we're just trying things, right? And sometimes we hit big. We hit a home run. And sometimes we swing and a miss. We just flop. But along the way, to be successful, you got to have a few good decisions, right? And so what would you say is your best business decision to date?
I guess first, outside of Junk Luggers, was just a decision to go down the entrepreneurial road. It is a fit for me that I never would have saw in the corporate world. I wasn't even sure I understood what the word entrepreneur meant at that point in time.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't have made the leap, but the push that I got was wonderful. It just pushed me into a life that you said something earlier about being 45 and having energy. I'm 55 and I have more energy now than I had when I was probably 30 or 35. I could do this the way I feel right now for decades to come. So,
and that comes from that fuel is enjoying what you do,
yeah,
and finding some purpose in it and some fulfillment in it. What would you say is something you're most proud of? Since you started doing this, I know you said starting was your best decision, but is there something you've done like I'm really proud of this? I'm proud of this thing that we were able to do as a company or just individually.
Yeah, I think that question kind of comes as not one big thing, but a lot of little things along the way. Mm-hmm. So we do just nature of the business, right? We work with a lot of realtors and apartments and estate sales companies that
Yep.
make hire us or refer us to clean up what's left after estate sale. We tend to work with a lot of older folks, especially a lot of women. They need the help. Our businesses, we bring a truck to haul away stuff. We also bring the labor that goes into the house and removes the stuff, whether it's in the basement or attic, wherever it might be. So some of the feedback we get, the Google reviews and that from some of the people that we've done work for, how grateful, things we're doing, we're just grunting away, right? We're going out, lifting stuff, taking the truck, loading it. We're going to go recycle it, whatever, donate it. But the treatment that my team gives them, the respect, and I kind of coach them to be a bit empathetic to meet the customer where they're at. If they want to talk quick and get to the point, don't waste their time talking. If they need somebody to talk to. Sometimes they're just lonely, or maybe they're hurting. Maybe they're selling their house that they raised their kids in, or just they're selling their parents' home that, mom just passed or whatever. Sit down and spend 5 minutes. You get to know them, talk to them, and so that all builds up to some of the feedback we get, which is really, to me, the market feedback is in these reviews. And they talk about how polite, how hardworking, how they made them feel respected, how they respected their items as they removed them. All these things they're really huge. And one lady wrote this amazing review. It was very touching. It was really deep.
Yeah. Well, I think the nature of what you guys do, is also very fulfilling, just in it being able to help people. You mentioned earlier, getting to rehome some things and helping people that are in need. And I'm sure that's incredibly fulfilling beyond just the dollars that it brings in. But, and I think too, like, find a way. One of the things I always told my kids, like, when you're looking for purpose in your life or your calling, an element of that has to include service. We're Christian people, and we believe in, God calling us to do something. But, if your mission in life is to just get wealth, get fame, get noticed, blah, 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 then your mission is off, in my opinion. There has to be an element, and you have to do those things. You have to get money. You have to get attention, all those things. But, like, if the mission doesn't include an element of service, like, what am I doing to help my fellow man or help my community, or then you're going to be empty.
Yeah.
And you're not going to fulfill God's purpose in your life. And so I think in any business, like, if your only goal is to just get wealthy, I'm just telling you, it will be an empty pursuit, because even when you get there, it's not going to feel like you think it will. So beyond the wealth, have a mission that includes some level of service, some level of giving back, some level of helping somebody. I think that's very, very important. So one of the things we talk about a lot at AZ is this statement: the number one currency in any business or organization is attention. You can have a great product, a great service, but if nobody knows about it, then you just have a hobby. You don't have a business. And so recently, for here at AZ, we knew we were going to be doing a rebrand. And we had been talking about it for almost a year. And so leading up to that, we wanted to do some things that would get attention, completely unrelated to what we were actually doing. So we did this campaign called Main Street Madness, where we chose to use the March Madness kind of theme. We made a bracket of the 64 restaurants in our community, and we let the community vote. And that campaign got over 500,000 views in 10 days here in Shiawassee County, over 50,000 votes submitted. There was really not anything in it for us other than everyone was talking about AZ. Our business was tagged over 5,000 times in that 10-day span. We got all kinds of attention, which we then parlayed into 4 teaser videos that we created that something new was coming. Attention. So now everyone's been watching, everyone's looking at our page every day, and now they're wondering, what is this big announcement? So then when we made the announcement, maybe it was anticlimactic, maybe it was like, oh, that's all you guys are, but it got attention.
Sure.
And I think it's important that when you're doing something in business to find ways to get attention. And every business does it. Some people do billboards, some people do TV commercials, networking events, a podcast. What are some of the things that Junk Luggers, you and Junk Luggers has done to get attention for your brand?
Yeah, so I think, we talked about a lot of the stuff, the marketing spend and networking and chambers and so on. We're trying to get, kind of hyper local, and For example, targeting Grand Blanc or Fenton or Holly or Clarkson, wherever it might be targeting. But doing things like, community events. We're doing a community cleanup in Grand Blanc in early May. We did the Fenton parade 4th of July last year. We're planning on doing that again, assuming they'll have us. I don't know why they wouldn't, but don't want to assume too much. But doing these hyper local things and getting a household brand built community by community is what we kind of strive to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to balance everything because there's so many things, as you know, to do every day and every week, and every month, that if you just focus on this, you can probably do it really well, but it gets what's left of your energy and time, unfortunately. But,
well, and that's why we talk about attention. We say an attention strategy beats a marketing strategy anytime. So what are things you can do just to get attention? And it doesn't always have to be related to what you do exactly, but it's getting people talking about you. We believe fundamentally that if more people are talking about you, it gives you more opportunity. And so we always encourage our guests and the people watching, like as you're talking about how you're going to spend your marketing dollars, we all only have a limited amount of those. If all you're thinking about is ROI financially, that's tough because some marketing campaigns fall flat.
Sure.
But if the ROI is attention on my business, then that's a little bit easier to calculate, or to plan or to strategize. How do I just get people talking about us? And so I got 2 more questions for you, and then we're going to move on to a segment called Say It in 60. But if you were to start all over today, almost 5 years in, what would you do differently?
I would start smaller. I come out of the gate hot with 4 franchise territories, and then I got an opportunity to buy 3 more that were 3 I really wanted initially, but they were sold before I signed on. And about a year later, that guy wanted out, so he called, "Do you want these?" So I ended up buying those. Ended up with 7 franchise territories, which is a lot.
A lot, yeah. A lot to manage and a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's just a long glide path to get it developed, and that's what we're fighting right now. On top of that, it was just coming out of COVID, and trucks. We ordered the franchise trucks, and they were there was a long hiccup in the supply chain. These trucks come from Japan, they're Isuzus, and so me and my infinite wisdom said, well, I don't know if I'll get another one. We're going to grow fast, so I'm going to get 2. So I got 2. Well, then about a month or 2 later, I realized that the supply chain hiccup, and I was talking with the franchise system and the dealership and trying to get a read on when my truck's going to be there. We're supposed to open in August. And I couldn't get a straight answer from anybody, so I started watching data and seeing when I was like number 64 and 65 for my 2 trucks on the list. So I started watching the data and trending and stuff, and so it's going to be like somewhere between November and February when my trucks will come in based on what I see. Didn't know how to start a business that way. I was eager to get going, so I ended up buying a used box truck, wrapping it in the logo and everything, and moving forward. Bottom line is, I ended up with, by February of 2022, I had 3 trucks capacity, and I needed a half a truck at capacity.
Yeah.
2022, 3, 4. So I think last summer I actually needed 3 trucks for about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So point is start a little slower.
I
have this concept of think big, start small, go fast. Well,
yeah. That is excellent advice. Excellent advice. I think a lot of businesses I've seen, and we did this here, go wrong that way. We had the big dream for me when I started. I had the big dream of this huge agency that would have 20, 30 employees, and we're servicing clients all over the country. And we got close. We had 20 employees at one point. We have this big space that you see, and wrapped vehicles and all of these things, and it became a cash eating monster. And it becomes very stressful. We had a full-scale print shop. I mean, we had all these things. And now today, we have fewer employees today than we had prior to the pandemic. And that's intentional. We're much busier. We're doing way more business than we were before then, but we found ways to be more efficient. We found where we need a full-time employee and where we can use a freelancer, or where we can partner with other companies instead of carrying all that overhead all the time. And so growing at the right pace and growing the right way, I just used to want to grow. And for years, I was just always trying to stay ahead of the momentum. And now our focus is just, we say it all the time, grow the right way. And so maybe it's growing our exposure or growing in the type of business we want to work with. The other thing is we got to a place where we were super busy with work, but none of it was the type of work we really wanted to be doing, and it was the least profitable kind of work. And so we're busy. We need all these people, but we're not doing the kind of work that we want. And so I think that's great advice. If you're starting out, grow at the right pace. You know, you hear him say on Shark Tank, you don't want to grow too fast. And before I own a business, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me. Why would you not want to grow fast? Like, and now I understand what that means. You know, a business has to be able to sustain itself and cash flow and all the things that happen. So, and then the last thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you want people to know that are watching? What do you want them to know about Junk Luggers?
Junk Luggers is it's a good company, provides a valuable service, but it also does good in the world, and that's what really makes it unique.
So if before we go to our last segment, our game, I want you to look right into this camera here, and I want you to tell our audience how they can connect with you. If maybe they have some things that need help, talk to who you're looking for, and then how they can connect with Junk Luggers.
Yeah, so who we're looking for is a wide range. Is anybody that has anything they want to get rid of. We take anything that's non-toxic and non-hazardous. So, we've, like I said before, basements, attics, furniture, people get into furniture, they need stuff removed. They're moving. Sometimes there's stuff in the lawn they want picked up. They call us, maybe the tree fell down and they've cut it up into pieces we can handle. We'll go get the tree, things like that. So as far as reaching out, yeah, you can reach out to me directly at mike.doherty@junkluggers.com. And that's mike.doherty@junkluggers.com.
And website is just junkluggers.com?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And you're on social media, so they can find you on Facebook. Yep. Are you on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, so they can find you there. So it's not hard to find them. If you're looking for these kind of services, reach out to Mike. He's a great guy, man of integrity, will take good care of you, good, honest business, and they enjoy what they do. And instead of just throwing all your junk in the landfill, maybe allow it to actually have a second life in some areas and help some real people in need. So, okay, Mike, we have this segment called Say It in 60. This is where we take 60 seconds to squeeze the last bits of wisdom out of you. All right. So you got to answer these quick.
Okay.
I think the person who has the record for this is Bill Anderson. He did it in 41 seconds. Oh, that's right. Bill Anderson did it in 50 some seconds. She did it in 41. Dr. Sandy Smith.
And how many questions in 41?
10 questions.
10 questions.
She was quick with it. So she was ready to go. So hopefully we can, and if you win, it's just bragging rights. That's all it is. It's just all it is. Okay. Mike, do you have the timer going? Mike, are you ready?
Let's go.
These got to be quick answers.
Okay.
All right. The timer starts now. Favorite hobby?
Motorcycling.
Favorite place you've ever been?
Tokyo.
Favorite food?
Mediterranean.
A must-read book?
Execution.
Favorite podcast?
This one.
A daily habit everyone should practice?
Gratitude.
A TV series worth binge watching?
Yellowstone.
In your opinion, what will help your brand grow more? High-quality photography or high-quality video?
Video.
Great website or great social media presence?
Both.
What is the number one key to success? Last question.
Perseverance.
All right. And with? Oh, so 40. She tied. You tied Dr. Sandy. Studio audience, round of applause. You'll have to let her know tomorrow at networking that you tied her.
Yep.
And that'll be awesome. So, well, Mike, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it. You did great, man. And I appreciate what you guys do. And again, if you're looking for these types of services, I couldn't recommend Mike and his company more. Good, honest, great people. So reach out to them. Mike, anything else you want to say before we head out?
Just thanks to you and your team. This has been fantastic, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Our pleasure. So this episode will come out next Tuesday.
Okay.
And we'll put it out there, and hopefully it does some good for you and get some more awareness about Junk Luggers.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It was our pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching. Take these words of advice. Mike had some great advice today from an entrepreneur who's really in it and going through it and learning, and some great takeaways today to start small and have a good plan and just start, right? Doesn't matter how old you are, just get out there and just get going. So some really good takeaways today, and I hope that it was beneficial to you. So thank you again for watching. As my mother always said, you can't and never could until you tried. So go out there and try something great, my friends, and don't take the easy way out. We'll see you next time.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We want to connect with you. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and let us know what guests you want us to have on the podcast. Follow us on social media for more branding insights, and thanks for watching Behind the Brand.